Hey everybody, welcome back to Behind the Loop. Uh, I'm your host Brennan, joined with Sean and Mason, and we have our Cardinals discussion now. So, guys, I think I overestimated this team.
Oh!
Oh, you think so?
Oh, God. Am I
Gee,
dreaming?
Brennan, why? What happened?
Hurt us?
It was a rough week for our Redbirds. They go to
I
Kansas
like the
City.
Marlins.
They They go to Kansas City, they lose that series, and that series was odd. And we talked about it last week I talked about it last week with Sean. It was kind of an odd series, but I still felt okay going in, and we won that first game against the Diamondbacks. And then we just lost all momentum in those second games. It was not pretty. And then the Marlins series was even worse, I feel like, because I feel like the Marlins series, you could have swept that series. You had opportunities to score runs, but you just didn't. And it's really just been abysmal this week. And now you look at the standings and where we are. We've now dropped to third place in the National League Central, and
Right.
I believe we are completely out of a wild card spot by I think 1.5 games. Let me double check because I know the Padres have been struggling too.
Yeah, I'm trying to
No,
pull
we're
this
actually
shit up.
we actually do still hold the last wild card spot, but we lost the top wild card spot, which we had last week, on Monday. So yeah, this is just the regular central standings, and then if you go to wild card, on that top,
I'm just mad that the
This thing?
Cubs are ahead right now.
yeah, we're in the third wild card spot. But we had the first, and then the Cubs and Phillies are over us, and the Phillies are up by 2 games. For that top spot. So if the season ended today, we would be playing the Atlanta Braves in a wild card series.
It's not good enough.
In Atlanta, which that is our future. That's our next series. Which I kind of, before we get into that, I kind of want to go into the past games that have happened this past week, because like I said, they were very abysmal. So if you look at the Diamondbacks, on Monday we won 3-2, and then on Tuesday, that was 4-3, which we were shut out most of that game, and then we came back in the 9th inning. That was the game that was 0-0 the entire game, and then it got blown by Swanson in that last game, that Tuesday game in the last inning, and then at the bottom of the 9th we tried making a comeback. With Blaze Jordan, but it just still wasn't enough. And then on Wednesday, we lost 9-4, which was just horrible. That was the Matthew Liberatore start, I believe, where he is just, again, like we talked about last week, just awful. He's been terrible this season, and especially the last few weeks. And then that Marlins series, Friday was 4-0, just absolute snooze fest of a game. And then Saturday wasn't much better with a 5-1 loss. And then we did end up pulling out the win on Sunday with a 2-1 win. But again, our offense has just been awful. And I kind of want to
as a bone.
I kind of want to share some stats too, which just is credit to Bernie Michaelis on Twitter. And he's part of STL Sports Central. If you haven't seen his content, I highly recommend it. But I think the one thing that's alarming about this Cardinals team right now is the offense at home at Busch Stadium. It has been awful, compared to where it was in the first month.
Sounds like Battlehawks.
Yes.
So we
Can't
talked
fucking
about
do it at home.
So yeah, we talked about how this team has a home field advantage now with the tarps off and just the energy that's there. The crowds are coming back. We've heard this, from media, from players, from everybody, but it's not translated on the field. It's just not, because if you look at where their offense has been, for the first month of the season, we had a slugging percentage of 408. The home runs per game was about 1.4 in that first month, and then the amount of at bats where a home run were happened, the average at bats to home runs was every 23.6 at bats there would be a home run by the Cardinals offense. In May, The slugging dropped to .373, and home runs per game dropped to .92, and then the at-bats per home run ratio went all the way up to 34.6. So that was a nearly 10 at-bat increase. And then it just gets even worse in June. June, the slugging percentage was .341, and the home runs per game was .5. So every half game there's a home run. And then the at-bats to home run ratio, which I think this is the most alarming, nearly doubled from 34.6 in May at-bats to a home run happening on average every 64.8 at-bats by this Cardinals offense. So
God,
64?
64. So you're talking like this team that has, surprised they surprised us to start the year with their power. They've revamped the lineup. We talked about this. It has just not translated at home. And I get Busch Stadium is not a hitter-friendly ballpark. It's been that way for years. But, you're not going to win games when your offense is performing this way. And I think the one person we have to look at for this offense slumping is primarily Jordan Walker, who has, been in a very bad slump lately. When you watch his at-bats, the numbers overall still look solid on the year. But when you look at the at-bats that he's been taking, he seems like he's whiffing a lot more. He's swinging at those sliders outside the zone more. And he's also having the ball on the ground a lot more, which has been a problem for him pretty much his whole career. And to start the year, it was the opposite. His ground ball rate was dropping, and then he was hitting the ball in the air and hitting it with authority. And it's just not happening. So, again, credit to Bernie Miklasz for this. Jordan Walker had, in his last 12 games, is 11 for 45, which is a .244 average. And all of those 11 hits were singles, which, as your fourth hole hitter, that's not good enough. And he has a 31% strikeout rate with a 37% chase rate. So he's swinging a lot. He's not hitting the ball hard. And when he is hitting the ball and it's finding holes, it's only for singles. He's not hitting extra base hits at all. So this is a massive problem for this Cardinals team, where we talked about how, the playoff potential for them and where they could, shine in this division and shine in the National League, and they have just completely fallen off offensively. And yeah, it's been pretty tough to watch.
Yeah, I would say so. What's interesting too, and just another thing of stats to bring up too, is just that since late April being 25 and 25, what do you think is like? From your perspective, what are you seeing? I guess it's just like their offense is, like you keep saying, the offense is not. Yeah, what's changed in the attitude of the Cardinals to where they aren't swinging, or they're not, like, what is causing their deficiencies in your perspective?
Because this team does feel different the last 2 to 3 weeks. Feels like something's changing.
I mean, I think
the Heat?
No, usually the Heat brings in, more power. But I think, when you look at this offense again, it relied a lot on the top four in their lineup, with J.J. Weatherholt and Alec Burleson, Ivan Herrera, and Jordan Walker. Those were your main guys. And that's who carried you offensively through the first half of the season. Or the first half of the season so far. And, the bottom half of the lineup was struggling. So Heim made the moves, Debrina, Brian Torres, send down Nolan Gorman, bring up Blaze Jordan, add Jimmy Crooks, bench Pedro Pajes, have Nelson Velasquez come off the bench as a platoon hitter against lefties. All those moves have been translated well and have improved the bottom half of the lineup. But I think with those four guys, like with Weatherholt and Burleson, Herrera, and Walker, they've all been slumping pretty majorly. And I think you look at with Jordan Walker specifically, I think he's the one I'm most concerned about, just because we've talked about this all year. Is it sustainable? And I still believe that it is sustainable for what he's done. I think this is just a rough patch that he's going through. but at some point he needs to come out of it. And I guess, like I said, I think he will, but I think that's why you're seeing this team's offense dwindling. And I think it's been going on for a long time, but the starting pitching has kind of held it at bay because the starting pitching's been so good over through May. It was one of the best aspects of this team, while the offense wasn't as hot as it was at the start of the year. So if they're gonna turn it around, I think you have to have this offense just score more runs. Because, yes, I understand the pitching's a problem. We know Matthew Liberatore's a problem. But you're not going to win games unless you score runs.
Right. No, it has been just a very disappointing thing to see. And, as much as for the memes that you and I and jokes that I've been playing on you with Jordan Walker and just this offense and whatnot, it is it's not there. It doesn't have the same stride. I guess it's just because maybe the rest of the league caught on to how to get them out and whatnot. Because I am a believer in
that's a big deal.
Is always changing and evolving to pick apart other teams once they figure out that thing that you do. And maybe this is just a cause of that. Maybe the consistency is just because they don't know how to change where they are currently in their game style and play style and whatnot.
Yeah, and I think, we had some comments on our last video about them. There was one particular, I don't have the video pulled up, so I can't call you out, but he was blaming Ali Marmol for lineup construction on the way this offense has been, and I completely disagree. I don't think this lineup, the way the lineup's structured by Ali's fine. I don't think there's anything that you need to change from Ali's perspective. But I think the next move that I think needs to be talked about is potentially, moving one of these outfielders, try and just figure something out. If it's Jordan Walker, I don't know how bad he is. I mean, I don't want him out of the lineup by any means. I don't think that's the right decision. You like what Nathan Church is doing. You love what Nootbaar's doing. But I think Joshua Baez is the spark plug that you need to call up and really just kind of fire up the guys a little bit, because you see that all the time, around the league. I mean, look at what just speaking of the Cardinals, what J.J. Weatherhold's debut did for this offense to start off the year. And Joshua Baez is that kind of player. And, I think we talked about him, saying that he's probably not going to be up until the trade deadline, until, Nootbaar's probably traded. But we might need to look at that possibly happening sooner, just to get a taste of it, because depending on how this stretch goes against the Braves, and then you have that big Milwaukee series, and then 4th of July you're at Wrigley,
right.
And then you come home to face Milwaukee, which is a 5-game series because it's a makeup of a rain right out.
That's an important series.
This whole stretch is very important. You're facing Atlanta, who has all year been a top team in the National League and in baseball, and then you're facing the Cubs, who's your rival, in Wrigley for the first time this year. And then you have the home series against Milwaukee. I mean, honestly, the way they're entering this stretch, it's so disappointing. Because after that Milwaukee series, then you face Atlanta again at Busch Stadium. And then it's the All-Star break. And that's when we're really going to start talking about, what the trade deadline looks like even more. The way they're entering this stretch right now is very, very concerning if you are wanting them to make postseason. Because if it doesn't, this can make or break their season. And this is what happened last year, where we thought we were in it, and then they fell off in June, and early July. This is the time where, that happened, and it's now we have to see if this team this year is going to follow that same path or not. But
well, do you see them catching up to the teams in the Central at all? I guess
no.
That's the main. Yeah, that's the thing that I'm kind of curious about, and seeing if they are capable of doing that. We were just dogging on the Cubs 2 weeks ago. They had a horrible couple of months and whatnot. Yet they're ahead of us now. Don't get me wrong, they have 3 games. We have 3 games in hand, I think. But still, it's come on, you could have really put foot on the throat and kept them down if you would have just kept consistency in playing.
Man.
Yeah, and then like the thing with the Central too is I don't think the Brewers are ever gonna slow down. I think the only way you are going to be competitive in the Central at any point this season is if you beat Atlanta, like win that series, and then win 4 or 5 against Milwaukee. Because I think I have to check the standings real quick because I think they are. How many games back are they from Milwaukee? They're 7.5 games. So if you win, like, let's say you just sweep them, you're still 2.5 games back, which is a big deal. But I don't see that happening. I would never predict that, and I wouldn't be surprised. I think it's possible that you lose all 5 games. I think
get swept.
I think that's a very strong possibility of this team. I don't know how the pitching's gonna line up for that. You know, you're pretty much gonna use your entire rotation with the 5-game series, and then you have the doubleheader, which doubleheaders are already tough to win in general. But yeah, it's just not like looking at that schedule before the All-Star break is
this
just
July.
brutal.
This July's schedule is like, we got to do some damage.
Yeah, the thing is,
if we fuck up in July, if we fuck up in July, we might be hanging our heads down.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, though, is if they can stay in the race through July, if you look at August and September, those are easier schedules, and that would allow you to potentially make up some ground. But
yeah, this is much better.
If you look up at the June schedule, you know, the June schedule was relatively easy. And they didn't do well. I think they were 500.
I think you even have it on record with us on the pod of us talking about that schedule.
Yeah, it was supposed to be easy. Like you look, I mean, they started like the Rangers series was rough. The Red sweep was great. I love that Red sweep. And then the Mets series was great. And then that Twins series is when it all kind of fell down. And then the Padres you won. And then the Royals, that Royals series, I think, is what really...
The Royals was, like, the main embarrassing one.
I actually think it all started with that Twins series. I know there was the Padres win in the middle of that, but the Twins series is where I started seeing a lot of holes. But, no, I think now when you look at the Diamondbacks and the Marlins, it's just rough, which I kind of want to cover one thing about the Diamondbacks series that I think Mason has ready. Paul Sewald, a reliever for the Arizona Diamondbacks, was not very happy with the Cardinals. So there was a rain delay on that, I believe it was that Thursday game. And he says, "No, you're right, Cardinals, for not moving our game up to this afternoon when we politely asked, given the whole world knew it was going to rain tonight."
The whole world.
I actually was really hoping we could lose an off day and turn it into a 4-city road trip, which is what he's referring to as the rescheduling later in the year, where they come in for one game and then leave, so they lose an off day. Honestly, Paul Sewald, I don't give a fuck. You know, you're making $1.5 million this year to be a reliever. I mean, I don't know what you're complaining about. You don't have to pay for travel. I mean, like, it's one day, and it's like you're in a 162-game season. He's bitching about how the road trip that they have that's coming up for them, like, to make up that game, they have to do it was a game rescheduled for it was originally an off day, but then they made it just a 1-game day where they just play the Diamondbacks on one day. I think if you look at the schedule, I think it happens in August.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing it. Yeah.
Really cry tweet against the
either
Diamondbacks?
August or September. Try September.
Yeah, it's gotta be September then. Where the fuck is this?
Wait, go back to July. I can't remember when they made it up.
Here we go. We got 2 right here.
It should be.
Right there. There it is.
Yeah, there it is. Right there. It's just a random Diamondbacks game because it was. Yes, they're playing the Diamondbacks that week of the 17th, but since it was a home game, they have to remake the home game at Busch Stadium. So they just threw the game in the middle of that week, just a 1-gamer. But yeah, that's what he was pissed about because they were originally off that day, and now he's like, oh, okay, so now I have to travel here, play 1 game, and then go travel somewhere else.
That's like the equivalent of having that one coworker who's just like bitching that they have to come in office when you all work from home. It's like, what do you mean I gotta go in the office? I can do everything here. It's like it's one time out of the like 5-day work week, asshole.
I just think it's really tone deaf. It's really tone deaf to say like your work's inconvenient, like being an inconvenience to you. Like no other person in the world has not been inconvenienced by their work at some point.
Oh yeah. Also, it's like it's a privilege to play Major League Sports, asshole. Like that's what's got me always messed up about any player that does complain about that stuff. Oh, I have to go places doing the thing I love.
Getting on this plane every day sucks.
So, but yeah, the kind of like wrap up for the last like 10 minutes here, because I've already got my Cardinals rant over with.
We got two things. We got one more thing, Cardinals, because I don't think we talked about this in the last one.
Oh yeah, Bill Dewitt. Yeah, Bill DeWitt III is now the CEO of the Cardinals, which, you know, we talked like.
Oh, I think you're talking about the news where he was kissing his son in that one video. He was down there.
I don't know what video you're talking about, but.
I thought I saw a video of him like kissing his son and stuff, and then because like everyone was talking about the news of him stepping in a different direction, so he went out and went down to the Ozarks. Got one of those plastic cups.
Okay, Mason just doesn't know what he's talking about. But anyway, Bill DeWitt III is now the CEO of the Cardinals, which means that he is now overseeing not just business operations, which is what he was doing, but now is overseeing baseball operations, which that presser was interesting. Not really just because of like the news, because I don't think it's really changing much, because Bill DeWitt Jr. has already said that he's not going anywhere. He's still staying the chairman or owner, so he's gonna probably gonna be in that role until he eventually passes. And then
how old is that man?
I think he's like he's gotta be in his 80s.
He's rich. He's rich. He's got 20 more years.
Yeah.
Let me see. I think if I had to guess, like it is.
Says he was born in '95. Oh wait, that's when he bought the franchise.
That's Bill DeWitt. That's his dad.
Oh my God, he's 84.
He's 84.
Yeah, he's got 20 years on him.
I don't know if you've seen him lately. I mean, he seems like he's okay. I hope he's okay, but it's like, it's interesting.
No, he's not okay. He's 84 and he was still working.
Well, this is supposed to be him taking a step back, you know. But I think the thing I thought was interesting was it had Bill DeWitt Jr., you had Bill DeWitt III, and Chaim Bloom, and then I forget his name. He's the new president. That guy seems like he has like really good ideas for like the business operations, like for fan experience at the stadium. But the thing I thought was interesting about the team's future was at that press conference they were asked, you know, this team's off to a better start than you expected. What does the trade deadline look like? And then Chaim Bloom was like, oh, I think we're gonna stay the course. Oh.
He doesn't look that great in this video. He's got the shakety shakes.
But
and this is
that's the third. But no, anyway, like I was saying, they were talking about like what the trade deadline would look like, and then Chaim Bloom was like, we're gonna stay the course, you know, we're not gonna take shortcuts, you know, basically the same thing he's been saying since he took over. But then Bill DeWitt III was like, oh, like the new CEO or owner who's overseeing baseball operations, he's like, well, you know, if we're in a spot of like contention, I can't see why we wouldn't add. Or like, it's not a quote, but it's like kind of along those lines. Like, and then Bill DeWitt Jr. is like, we're not gonna get any rental pieces. So it's like you had three different, those three like big leadership people, and they didn't agree on how they were gonna handle the trade deadline, or they didn't have like a concise answer between the three of them. They all said something different. So I thought that was kind of interesting, because if Bill DeWitt III's over the ownership now, or like over baseball operations, what kind of pull does he have on how this deadline is handled by Chaim? I think that's kind of interesting, because like we talked about how, you know, it might be a good business strategy for them to buy at this deadline to try to get fan engagement as high as it's been lately. But
what kind of pull do you think he's got at 84?
Bill DeWitt III. Bill Dewitt Jr. has a lot of pull. He has a
I'm
lot.
sure, yeah.
But
how many girls a weekend you think? Guys, girls, theys.
I think he's got a wife. He's got a wife.
Yeah, that's
so how much pull do you think he's got?
Yeah,
at least one.
We're never getting invited to
he's
the.
got a couple pulls.
Wait, so are you
not
employed by the
getting
Cardinals now?
Oh yeah, you're technically employed.
You're.
It was sarcasm, damn it.
Anyway, we're not gonna try to get Mason fired from his Cardinals gig, but anyway.
I can do that by myself. I don't need your help.
Yeah.
we love Bill DeWitt, and I'm glad that it's staying the DeWitt family too, because I think that's some people wanted to sell the team. I think them staying with Bill DeWitt as owner, I think like you don't know what you're gonna expect, and we've seen that with St. Louis multiple times with the Rams and the football Cardinals and things like that. So it's better to keep ownership that's committed to the city like the DeWitts here.
Was DeWitt Jr. the one who also did the famous walk-in after the Rams left at Enterprise with Tom?
Oh yeah, when they dropped the pucks, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that
Top
was pretty
tier
sick.
moment.
Yeah, I heard I think there was some articles about it that Bill DeWitt was very upset that the Rams left.
Yeah, he's like, "Where's my fucking revenue?"
Yeah, he's especially now he's has Ballpark Village.
Yeah, dude.
That lost a lot of money. Oh, it's Yadier Molina. This is Yadier Molina dropping the puck.
Oh, was it Yachty? I thought it was.
I thought it was the owners.
Or did you just pull up the wrong one?
It's just ceremonial puck. Oh, this is definitely the wrong one.
But hey, shout out to Yadier Molina.
Yeah, shout out to Yachty.
Yeah, pretending like you didn't see that video. Oh, here it is.
You found it?
And cut. We're just gonna splice this
on
in.
Facebook.
That's fine.
Yeah,
it was against the Hurricanes. There we go.
That's whenever they had the old Jumbotron too.
This was 7 years ago.
Scott Trade Center.
Oh, you know what? This time frame, I actually hated the Blues jerseys during this time frame too because they had that ugly yellow numbering. Oh, look at them owners.
That was Bill with the third.
That is Bill the young third. There's Pedro.
No, not No, but honestly, that is such a cool top. If we were to talk about top tier sports moments or just them recognizing the community well, this was it. This is
makes me
so
sad,
sick.
But happy at the same time.
Yeah, especially this was right after the Rams left, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's literally the day after.
That's awesome. Good for them.
And it was loud as shit. And you got the Kroenke sucks, the birth of the Kroenke sucks chant, I think started at this game.
Oh my god, David Backus. And Eric Stahl. Sorry, this is way too much of a throwback for these players for me.
He looked over, he's like, "You ready?"
Yeah.
I like it's cool how they're all wearing their own jackets too.
Yeah.
They're wearing each other's it's literally like a "we got your back" kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck the Rams. Fuck Kroenke. But we don't have a Rams segment on this fucking show. We have the Battlehawks, but we could have both.
I mean, you still can do the Rams if you really want to.
Yeah, no, it's just a hate session. It's just a hate session. I'm sure us St. Louisans would fucking love that, though. Just every week, I just bitch about the Rams.
Can we actually do that for the fall? Instead of you talking about, Broncos or, us just talking about our favorite football teams, we're just going to have a Rams team.
Yeah, I can already rant now because his piece of shit fucking team's probably going to steal a Super Bowl from my Broncos this next season because they're too fucking loaded. So many loopholes. This is a Cardinals broadcast.
Mason, if there's one thing I can tell you, it's to stay patient. And with that,
great transition. Great transition.
Stay patient.
John
My dad's not in hospice. How dare you? I just sit and saw him. He looks healthy.
John Mozeliak. He put us in hospice for a while. John Mozeliak is now the interim general manager for the Los Angeles Angels.
No,
yeah,
not
that's
Los
interesting.
Angeles. Pretty sure they're in Anaheim.
Anaheim, all the same.
Well, I think they're actually called the Los Angeles Angels. They used to be called Anaheim. Now they're Los Angeles Angels.
No way, are they?
Are they really?
Yeah.
Let me check this.
I'm the
It is
baseball
Los
guy.
Angeles Angels. What the fuck?
I'm the baseball guy.
When did that happen?
They're not even. Wait, hang on.
They're in
Where's
Anaheim.
their stadium?
It's in Anaheim.
It's in Anaheim, but when did they switch? It wasn't always like that.
No, it was Anaheim at one point.
All right.
They
Anyways,
pulled a sneaky link on us.
God, I hate LA.
I like Mozeliak getting over there at the Angels to see what we can. It's interesting as a Cardinals fan to see what the fuck's gonna happen over there. It's kind of like in a guinea pig. You like lost one of them and ran away to a new owner. You know what I mean?
Well, I think the Angels are like probably the worst franchise. Probably sport. I mean, I think we were talking this with one of our other friends, Adam, Sean,
Former
and I,
co-host.
and I think the only comparable franchise in sports to them is probably the Cleveland Browns. I honestly, yeah, yes, they have had.
That's the factory of sadness.
That's what the Angels are.
Dude,
So,
yeah. I mean, look back at the Angels.
Let's
Like,
just. I'll give you a rundown of the Angels since like 2010, right? So they get Mike Trout to the draft. He falls to him, and he becomes one of the best players we've ever seen. Possibly like regarded as one, like before Ohtani, one of the best players of all time. And then they sign Albert Pujols. They take Albert Pujols from us, and then they sign Josh Hamilton. They signed Justin Upton. I'm trying to think of all the names that they've signed. Anthony Rendon. God, who else? Noah Syndergaard. Like they signed all these people.
Sammy Sosa.
No, but they got all these.
David Ortiz.
They spent all this money on all these players, and like through the mid 2010s, like I think they made playoffs in 2012, I believe, with Albert Pujols. And then they didn't go back to the playoffs ever, like, since then. And we're talking about in 2019 they got Shohei Ohtani. So they had Shohei Ohtani.
2014.
Yeah, you had Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout on the same team for like 5 years, and you did not make playoffs at all. They
got swept in 2014 too by the Royals.
Yeah.
God.
So they never made playoffs with having Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. And not only that, those years that they had those players, they were Ohtani was having like a career out of his mind. He was winning MVPs. Mike Trout was winning MVPs. And then like in 2020, it was a shortened season, and it was because it was the COVID season, and they had expanded playoffs where there was 8 teams that could have made the playoffs. So they just had to be one of the top 8 teams, and they still could not make the playoffs that year in a shortened season. And then they expand the playoffs in 22, and yet again they still have yet to make postseason. I think they've only finished above like 80 games like maybe once since 2014, I believe. I have to look back on that, but it's insanity on how horrible they are with just like their record and how they built their team. And now they've fired the general manager, and they brought in John Mozeliak to work with the president of the Angels, whose name is Molly Jolly. I don't think this organization.
Jolly?
I don't think.
Did he get that shit after he left?
No, this is Molly Jolly. That's the president of the Angels. So you have Molly Jolly and John Mozeliak.
Oh, I thought that's what we were calling Mozeliak.
Right.
No, that is the name of the woman who's the president of the Angels. Her name's Molly Jolly.
Oh! I thought it was her name's actually Molly.
Her name's Molly Jolly. I'm telling you, this organization's not real.
That's worse than the fucking name that Sean said in the Blues episode.
Oh, yeah.
Jaborda chick or something like that. I'm like, what the fuck is that shit?
Hang on, I think I still got it somewhere in here. Hang on, it's Bordaloo.
Bordaloo.
Aurora Borealis.
No, but like they get
Molly
all these
Moles.
players. They get all these players and they fail miserably. Their payroll is really high for what their records are, like what the records have been through the years. And then now you have John Mozeliak stepping in, which was very interesting to see the reception of Angels fans on Twitter about how they felt, because after his press conference, all these Angel fans were like, "Oh, it's such a breath of fresh air to hear John Mozeliak talk," which for the last 6 years in St. Louis, we could not stand hearing him talk. It was miserable. Yeah. And then he's asking for patience still, which, I mean, Angels fans, I don't know how much more patient you can be, but it can't be worse. I don't know. Honestly, John Mozeliak has had a great baseball career, and he had a great career with the Cardinals overall. And I think he's a good fit for Anaheim, and I think it could be interesting to see how it plays out. But I feel so bad for those fans in Anaheim. I mean, it's just brutal. I mean, you're already going to be the background of the Dodgers in a way, just because of just being in California like that. And we talk about the Yankees and Mets. The Mets are always a little brother to the Yankees. I mean, I'd rather be a Mets. I know the Mets suck right now, but and they're in a really bad organizational place too. But the Angels are so much worse, because it's been years, it's been decades of just absolute mediocrity or just being terrible.
Well, they didn't do shit with Pujols.
No.
I just said they got him in 2014. They got swept by the Royals.
Yeah, and he was awful for them for a
while.
By
the way, Brendan, the last time they had a winning record,
I would say it's 2014.
It was in 2015 where they went 85-77 and they missed playoffs.
In 2014, they were 98 and 64.
What is their record through the years? Do you have that pulled up?
Yeah, I have it year by year. So
yeah, I want to hear this. This is awful.
All right. So in the last 20 years, so going back to 2006, they have only made playoffs 4 times. 2006, they were 89-73.
That was a good team.
And
I think that was the Vladdy years.
Yeah, I think the top player was Jared Weaver.
Oh, Jared Weaver.
So then you go into 2007 through 2009, where they have John Lackey.
John Lackey, yeah.
Irvin Santana, and then Chone Figgins. That's not a real name.
Chode Higgins?
But anyway, just go with year by year record.
Okay, so year by year record from 2006?
Just from 2015.
From 2015. Okay. So from 2015 it goes 85-77, 74-88, 80-82, 80-82, 72-90, 26-34, 77-85, 73-89, 73-89, 63-99, 72-90, and currently 36-49.
And I want to point back. I think it was the 2020.
Sucks.
I think it was the 2023 year. What was their record in 2023?
73-89.
Okay.
That was Shohei's last year.
That was the year that they talked about trading Shohei Ohtani, and that was a big talk. And they didn't do it. Even though it came out a couple years later that there was multiple teams, like the Tampa Bay Rays, who had a deal, or they had an offer to the Angels for Shohei Ohtani. And I believe, I don't know if this is right, but I think in the article that I read about it, their general manager, the one who just got fired, had the deal in place. They agreed to the deal. But Artie Moreno, the owner of the Angels, stopped it and said, no, we're not trading Shohei Ohtani. And they would have gotten a haul. I think it was Junior Caminero and some other prospects, which Junior Caminero's is one of the best hitters in the American League right now. And you had a potential to trade the best player of all time, and he was not going to come back. It was already known he wasn't going to come back. And they bought at that deadline because they were 3 games back from the wild card for the last wild card spot. They bought at the deadline, traded away the very few prospects that they have because their farm system's been terrible. And when they bought, then they ended up finishing that season 18 games out of a playoff spot.
It's a legit terrible team. They might be worse than the Browns.
That's the only comparable team I can think of. Because I don't think there's any.
Fucking Ohtani.
I know.
Damn. It seems like he's
Mike
been
Trout.
on the Dodgers forever. Mike Trout.
They had Mike Trout, Ohtani, and Albert Pujols at one time.
And David Ortiz and David Eckstein and Rey Mysterio. That's fucking wild.
Hey, here's some other names.
We know Mason's baseball knowledge here.
Yeah, here's some other names to throw out there too for top players. By the way, Brendan, during that time was Alderton Simmons, Andreaton.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm so good at reading. And then Anthony Rendon.
No, Anthony Rendon's been terrible.
They have him listed as top player in 2020.
Oh my god. Well, I think he was good in 2020. But Anthony Rendon, Mason will like this story. Anthony Rendon was a signing that they made. He was with the Nationals when they won in 2019, and then they signed him in 2020 to like one of the biggest free agent deals in baseball. And then after he had that big contract, he kept getting injured, and then he's like, I don't want to play baseball anymore, so he quit. He quit baseball. And they have to still pay him. They have to still pay him.
They do have to pay him?
Yes.
Because was it guaranteed money?
All contracts in MLB are guaranteed money.
So
he was already like they paid him all this money, and you had Ohtani, and you had Trout, and you had that Pujols contract, you had the Justin Upton contract, you signed all these other players. But here's Anthony Rendon, the biggest name that you signed, not wanting to play baseball anymore. It's just...
Dude, how is that a thing in
So
baseball?
bad.
How can you quit and still get paid?
Because they're
MLBPA.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
pisses me off so much.
Yeah, we'll save it for next time or something, but man, the MLB's fucking money situation is so screwed.
No, I know. It's a big thing this offseason with the
that is ridiculous
agreement.
And I don't want to leak into it too much, but the players get it so good. Of course they don't want anything to fucking change.
Yeah.
We're going to have to see dark years.
That's the shit that pisses me off with it. It's like, I hate that it's made me anti-player in the movie.
I hate to say it, too, because I think these MLB players are mega talented, and I want to see them get paid. Especially a lot of those players, like, you know, who come from, like, the Dominican Republic or Venezuela, Puerto Rico, like, those not very wealthy countries, and they come from, like, a rough upbringing, and they... just to get to the major leagues is so much more of a challenge than anyone else here in America. You know, like, I want to see those guys continue to get paid. But the problem is, it's just became too much. And I think just these other teams take advantage of it because of their TV deals, and they can pay more. And some of these owners, all these owners can pay more. We get that. But at the same time, there needs to be some kind of limit, because the Dodgers can't be signing all these players who are kind of mediocre, like Kyle Tucker, to, you know, $600 million contracts. Yeah. And then, like, Kyle Tucker should not have been a Dodger for that much money. He just shouldn't have. It doesn't make sense. And these agents are just going to go to the Dodgers because if they're somewhat talented, they're just going to get overpaid to go to LA. I don't know. It's just... because they know they can pay it, so they can work up their value, because then they're going to go to these other teams and be like, oh, well, the Dodgers, I know that they're going to offer me this at some point, so you have to match that or go over.
That's fucked up.
These teams can't do it. Like, if the Cardinals signed a $600 million player, if that contract doesn't work out, for the next 10 years, we're fucked. There's literally, we can't do anything, because we're so financially strung by these contracts, which is why Chaim Bloom's in, to try to revitalize our farm system to where we can develop these players who might leave in free agency, but hopefully you can make extensions earlier on in their career to guarantee them the money. But, you know, we'll have to see how the MLB CA agreement like plays out. But
for next time.
Yeah, I was gonna say that'll be a good episode, because that's actually a lot.
I think I want to say that
that goes beyond baseball. Too. That's like all of sports kind of conversation.
Yeah.
So that's a big topic.
But yeah, so yeah, hopefully the Cardinals can pick it up this week. You know, I know we kind of went to an Angels podcast there for like the last 15 minutes. But
well, they pick up our scraps. They got two big pieces from our past with Pujols and now Mozeliak.
Which I think Pujols might be a play for the manager job there now with Mozeliak there. That's the other thing. But I think he might be interested in the Mets now, so that they fired their manager. But anyway, and whenever that happens, we'll talk about it then. But thank you guys for watching. Make sure you comment your thoughts below about where the Cardinals are, what you think about the Mozeliak moves, different things like that. And make sure you like and subscribe for more future Cardinals, Blues, Battlehawks, St. Louis content. We will have it for you here weekly. So we'll catch you guys next time, and make sure you guys have a safe and happy 4th of July. We'll see you guys later.